When a child is using excess screen, either in the form of games, social media, or YouTube feeds, it creates a situation like a stress for the child without realizing that the child is exposing himself to the stressful hormones called as cortisol. Briefly about what this cortisol is. In our evolutionary, we developed a protective mechanism in the form of fight, flight, or freeze, where whenever we came across an acute crisis, our body responded in the form of releasing these hormones. It is a protective way. But when the child is engaged in the screen time activities, it actually leads to a situation like a chronic stress, and forever the cortisol levels are stimulated. So, this high level of cortisol, imagine if all our body cells are bathed in this cortisol for a longer period of time, instead of being protective in the acute stage of crisis, if it is prolonged for it is exposed for a longer period of time, can actually lead to destruction of our body cells. And this in turn affects our mental health well-being. So for a child, how do we combat these? So whenever a child is exposed to the screen, either in the form of, as I mentioned earlier, it can be causing the increased exposure to the blue light, or lack of sleep, or the comparison or low self esteem. All of these things, in a way, are inducing the stressor like response in our body. Stressor like situations, and this indirectly is producing these hormones. So, what are the simple ways in which I can teach my child to combat these issues? There's no magic potion which will help us, but a simple wisdom from our forefathers. Three things that we learned as a child, be socially interactive, engage with people of all age group, so that itself will build a situation where the child is always happy, and this naturally reduces the cortisol level in our body. The second is a good sleep. There's no discounting on a good sleep. So encourage a child to always have his daily good sleep, not just the quantity but also the quality of sleep. So make sure that you give that environment for the child. And lastly, but not the least, is exercise. When a child is exercising, for that matter, any one of us, when we exercise, what we're trying to do is we are decreasing the dose response of the secretion of cortisol over a period of time. So, if the body is regularly maintaining its exercise, we secrete less cortisol in terms of whenever we are exposed to the stressor like situation. So, exercise itself act as the anti-stress. So, these are the three simple and yet doable, tasks that you can teach our children to combat the effect of screen time on mental health. Give them good social life. Second, allow them to have a good sleep, both in terms of quality and quantity. And last but not the least, exercise. Thank you.